Good things can have humble beginnings. Great things are told in a tavern. Long Rest is a comedy radio play D&D podcast entirely told after battles at a tavern. Listen to the saga of misadventures, social awkwardness, and a mystery or two. Grab a seat at the table. Hashtag, come for the ale, stay for the tale. The Long Rest, Episode 110, Apologies.
Welcome back to The Long Rest, a Dungeons & Dragons podcast set entirely between the battles at the Long Rest Tavern. Our accidental group joins forces to adventure and gain riches, but egos, bad habits, and family lend to unpredictable results. I am Robb, your Dungeon Master. Tonight's episode is not brought to you by any sponsor. Tonight's episode is brought to you by a warning. Luck plays a crucial role in our lives, and the dice encompass that vivacity. Millions of dice are rolled every day. Well, that may not be true. A lot of dice are rolled every day. It helps keep our existence, our essence, balanced. It decides if a bard, rogue, gnome, wizard, dwarf, or even clerics have the same chance of something going nonsensically good or wonderfully wrong. Some days the dice are ever in our favor. So many days so that we dismiss the notion of the unthinkable. Unthinkable. The loss of a character that we have grown to cherish, perchance even love. But the rule of the dice must be followed. What lands must be called. As a DM, I am simply a facilitator of this world. I have no say where the dice land. Chance brings good fortune in battle, in spellcasting, and how hostility reverses to fondness. Or how life weakens and diminishes. Last week, our honorable group finally put together every last piece of gold they needed to repay their debts to the Thieves' Guild. The quandary to where this adventure began. The deal to save the Long Rest Tavern from intentional fire. The bond that brought a loner, an outcast, an optimist, an old soul, an idealist, and a dreamer together as adventurers. These misfits that surely, if the dice were rolled divergent, would not have become family. That roll was fortuitous. The dice had a reversal of fortune, which astonished even me. But let us start with how the adventurers ended up in that unforeseen dice roll. Our cleric, back from the crisis of conscience, plane shifted back from the Feywild to the Long Rest Tavern. Finding the Chaos for Hire on their way to save the town of Falkirk that was held hostage by a cluster of clay golems. Having their healer back on the team made the freeing of Falkirk swift. They were rewarded with enough loot to reach the 10,000 owed to the Thieves' Guild, with an added bonus of a bag of holding. The grandiose gift of a magical item that they have only heard rumor of to be in their possession. They grew adrift at the task at hand, to count the spoils and contact the Thieves' Guild, and each grew giddy and self-minded. In the mix of plunder, there was a gem of perfect clarity, a diamond. This impeccable diamond, worth 1,000 gold, was the crowning jewel that would resolve the deal with the Thieves' Guild. The thought of being free of the fear of the guild was dizzying. The bard and wizard tossed the plunder into the bag of holding. This bag of holding. This bag is a normal-sized bag, but has an interior space considerably larger than its outside dimensions. It's bigger on the inside. Roughly 2 feet in diameter at the mouth and very deep. The bag weighs 15 pounds, regardless of its contents. Whilst the merriment commences, Artie the Cleric endeavors to get the rogue's attention. Nothing. Then the dwarf. She feels the necessity to share how valuable the diamond could be. The sorcerer doesn't listen. She repeatedly begs to be heard. The wizard dismisses. She begins to rage, and Artie slams her staff down, and glowing angelic figures encircle her. Not angelic as in people with wings, angelic as in spinning wheels with eyes and fire. Artie now has their attention. Expounding on how the diamond could complete the deal with the guild, but the rarity of the gem holds powers that she feels will be essential in the future. It is her task to keep them all alive, and it is exhausting. Hearing her now, and not wanting to be smited in her rage, they decide to retrieve the diamond from the bag of holding, pairing off 2 by 2. They jump into the darkness knowing that there is a finite amount of time in the bag. 10 minutes, and not a second longer. 10 minutes. Now, one by one they climb out of the abyss to see that each has failed to locate the diamond. Glancing over the room, they see that the bard is not there. Still in the bag, and it is well past the 10 minutes. They bolt to the bag, dump it inside out. The treasure falls out, including the body of the lifeless bard. He is not breathing. However, grasped in his hand is the perfect diamond. Resentment fills the rogue, and in a flurry he attacks the cleric for her selfishness. In complete anguish, she slumps over the bard, chanting into the diamond. It begins to emanate a brilliant light. As she tries to hold the spell to revive the bard, the dice are rolled. She falls lifeless. And that is where I begin tonight. We begin in a dream. The bard sits up in the darkness.
Hello? Hey guys? Can you hear me? I think I passed out. It must have been more than 10 minutes. So, does that mean...
Artie hears a voice. Is everyone here? All right. We must with haste complete the ritual.
Who said that?
The child is awake.
Child?
Who's there? Show yourself. The bard sees, emerging from the shadows, 2 figures. A man tall, stately, mighty, and well-armed, and a woman. She has dark, wavy hair and eyes of... well, they look like Corvo.
Mom?
The bard is not sure if he spoke the word out loud. The next images swirled and fleeted by as he tried to hold on to the skirmish in front of him. Without warning, he was pulled from the illusion back to darkness. Back at the tavern. Orin, our dwarf, struck with desperation as his eyes glare at the lifeless Artie. His next movements were in his mind slow motion. His consciousness was 1 minute behind his body. This deep despair triggered a memory, and his body reacted in reflex. The hidden room in the basement. Genevieve kept the exceptional trinkets there for her boys. When his mind caught up with his body, he was moving to the hefty cabinet, then the rug, and pulling the toggle to open the door. The room was dark, but he moved as if he had done it 1,000 times, to the chest in the corner, smashed the lock and lifted the top, and there it was. The Ioun Stone of Regeneration. Orin was upstairs in a blink and praying that Artie had a glint of life left. He throws the Ioun Stone at Artie, and it catches in orbit around her head.
She had some life in her.
Did you just throw a rock at Arya?
Yes, an iron stone.
Holy meteor! You have had one the whole time?
No, Genevieve was saving it for her boys.
Slowly, the Iron Stone orbits around Arya's head. A surge of life rushes through her. In the surge, angel wings appear and a flash of Skobeloff hues that travels from the wings to Artie's heart. As Artie takes a breath, the blue wings fade away.
Where's Mom?
Artie! I thought I lost you.
He tackles his brother with a hug.
You stubborn bastard. Arya, I owe you an apology. You saved my only brother. I was a fool to ever doubt you.
Thank you. Did I die?
Yep. What did you see?
Nothing.
Not even meteor?
No. Did you attack me with a rock?
Why, yes, an iron stone. You must have had a sliver of life left.
And an iron stone would amplify that life energy. Smart thinking, Orin.
I saw something or dreamt something really strange.
You can write a song about it later. Let's get you in the chair.
Did I find the diamond?
Indeed you did.
Thank you, Artie. That was a stunning display of bravery.
The group sits at the round table, and Corvo brings over some pints.
I've got coin here somewhere.
Orin pretends to look in his pockets to pay for the pints, and then gives Corvo a wink.
Put your coin away. These are on the house. For luck.
Arya is holding the Iron Stone, brushing the sides, almost in a meditative state.
Do we still have the diamond?
Without looking up, Arya answers.
No, it is dust.
What time is the Thieves Guild getting here? We don't have enough money! Quick, quick, quick! Fill the buckets!
Why fill the buckets? We could take the booze with us.
No! To put out the fire! They are not burning down this bar!
We have until sunrise. We could hit the kobolds again.
Thorne, you settle down. We have the money.
Everyone but Arya responds.
Now how do you think we
What?
have money?
I don't
really
understand.
Tell me
I don't
what-
really
Listen.
know time.
Berkeley and Genevieve's room of tomorrows.
Who?
Room of what?
Orin describes the episode of anguish he felt witnessing Arya's life leave her body, and it triggered a recollection buried deep in his past. You see, Orin was seconds too late to save their parents. That pain and regret built a barricade around those memories, and they hid locked in the far corners of his mind. Witnessing Artie and Arya tore down those hidden memories, and instinct took over. He ran to Genevieve's room of tomorrows, where he knew she had stashed an iron stone. Genevieve was a planner. She had planned the training of Corvo and built this room, a room to teach, to tell stories, and to keep safe the magical items, maps, and money she had collected.
She did. Here in the tavern?
Why just Corvo?
It's time to take you downstairs and talk about that night.
The dwarf, the bard, and the rogue head down to the basement, leaving Arya continuing to stare at the stone.
You okay there, Arya?
Yes.
Spill it. What has happened?
I did have a dream, or premonition. It was not the past, but a future.
Oh, cool! Was I there?
Yes, we were all in this field. It was an exquisite day, and Corvo was dressed in this fine suit, not armor.
Thorne and Elizabeth lean in, so completely enthralled in the delicious tale that they did not hear the door of the tavern open. The Thieves' Guild was directly behind them when they heard the struggling of a captured victim.
Hands on the table, weapons on the floor.
Make up your mind. Do you want my hands on the table or the weapons on the floor?
Very funny. Put your weapons on the floor and then put your hands on the table.
Jeez, her hands are her weapons.
I knew that. Tie her hands, tie all of their hands.
The other guild member very cautiously goes over to Thorne, Arya, and Elizabeth to tie their hands. Elizabeth snaps her fingers. Nothing happens, but the guild member did flinch. The already captured and tied up hostage with the guild is placed at the far stool on the bar. They take the hood off to see they have kidnapped Thorne.
Thorne! You found the Dwarven Mountain and actually kidnapped Thorne?
You know him? Even better. Grabbed this dwarf down the road and brought him his incentive if you didn't have the 10,000, or a witness if you do. So, which is it?
What the guild members didn't realize was that the wizard's fake snapping of fingers was actually charging up the charm spell that she had already put on them weeks ago when they tasked her to spy on the rogue and the bard. Though they think she is forced to work for the guild, but with sweet irony, they are her puppets.
Ransford, Vat, Berg, it is me, Elizabeth. I've worked for you and have been for weeks. I've given you all the juicy tidbits of what these fools have been doing. You are the worst bosses ever.
The wizard. Right. She works for us. Apologies. Untie her, Berg.
Thorne has not been a fan of the wizard since she broke into the Dwarven Vault, and it's pretty hot to hear that she has been a spy this whole time. Thorne and Artie are not quite sure if Elizabeth is telling the truth about charming them, or if she has betrayed them again.
Thanks, Ransford. I'll be glad when this mission is over and my debt is paid to the guild.
How could you?
It was harder than I thought it would be, if that helps.
Just stop, Elizabeth.
Wizard, do they have the 10,000, or are we torching this place?
We have it!
They do not.
They're very close, so maybe we burn only the stables.
Hilarious.
The wizard notices that Thorne, a very powerful dwarf, is breaking out of his ropes.
Looks like that old dwarf is getting out of his ties. I will just cast a hold person on him.
She does not.
I need to be close to cast.
She walks over to the very angry dwarf and whispers to him not to strike her down. Trust her. Thorne glares at her. The wizard takes the 3 guild members to the door of the tavern to talk without being heard. She is hatching a plan to take 9,000 gold to split between the 4 of them and tell the boss that there was 0 loot when they got there. Ransford, Watt, and Berg approve of this plan. While they are talking, Artie notices that Thorne is getting real worked up and his eyes are turning magenta. Great. Wild magic.
Thorne, just breathe. Remember the breathing exercises? 1, 2, 3, 4, in and out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thorne tries.
Not working.
Wild magic flows through his body and burns the ties. He is now floating a few feet off the ground. Artie tells Thorne to duck.
It's all right, Thorne. This is between me and Elizabeth.
Back in the basement, Orin has taken Artie and Corvo to a secret room behind the wall cabinet, under the rug, and down the stairs. The room looks as if it had not been touched in decades. Dusty, but organized. There is a toy basket in the corner. A bookshelf lined with old books and many journals, all in Genevieve's handwriting. A wall with hooks holding a small crossbow, a javelin, and 3 maces. At the other end is a straw-filled armor for practicing battles. There are 2 overstuffed chairs, and a large chest that is now open with a broken lock next to it. The chest is filled with platinum, gold, and magic items.
Now, I know you must have questions.
I sure do.
Let's start with the night they died.
Corvo, what do you remember?
Corvo sits in one of the overstuffed chairs, closing his eyes, trying to conjure the memory.
I remember this room. Mom seemed anxious when she told me to stay in here till they got back. This was before the big fight. It was the night they brought Artie home. Must have been the night he was born. She kept you down here most days, especially when the tavern was open. I had to take care of you. You were almost walking, so I brought you upstairs to show Mom and Dad. The tavern was loud, filled with patrons. She must have thought the noise was too much for you, and she hustled us back downstairs. Then the night of the big storm, the three of us, Mom, you, me, we were in this room. I remember fighting and sounds of a weapon. Mom ran upstairs, but was pushed back down by a group of men, all dressed in black. She grabbed me and whispered in my ear, "Run!" And I did.
Okay. Artie, do you remember anything?
I was a baby, so no, but the vision I had was of a rainy night, men dressed in black, but we were in a cave, I think. They were trying to do a ritual, and Mom came and must have cast a sleep spell on all of them. They just fell to the ground. I saw her carrying me and saying I was safe now.
Anything else?
That was it for the dream.
Orin pulls a small orb out of his satchel and places it in Artie's hand. Artie closes his eyes and sees another vision. He looks down at himself, and he is not Artie. He is Orin, many, many years younger. Artie's face contorts with pain, then fear. He screams and drops the orb.
What is this sorcery? Why would you show me this?
What is that? What happened?
It is a magical orb. It holds the memory of the night Berkeley and Genevieve died. It was placed there so I didn't have to relive it. Now it's time to look back, say it once, and put it away forever. You both recall parts of a story. Here is what really happened. Genevieve built this room for Corvo. She loved being a mom and adventuring. She knew she couldn't give either up, so she was training early. Her big heart. She overheard the guild talking about a tiefling being born that had a mighty powerful prophecy, and their boss wanted it dead. It could only be killed with a ritual due to its powers. She told this to Berkeley, and that they wouldn't stand for a baby to be killed. Ever. She planned to bust into the ritual, take the baby, and then find a safe place for it to grow up. It went perfectly that night. She didn't know then that she would grow to love that tiefling as if it was her own. Berkeley could never say no to Genevieve and agreed to keep him. Artie was safe in their home, except the guild kept snooping around the tavern. They had heard rumors about the powerful child being close. They did keep Artie in the tomorrow room when the tavern was open, but only to keep him safe. Till that one night that Corvo wanted to show that he had taught him to walk. It only took a couple of nights for the guild to find out. Jenny had sent word for me, and I dashed over here, but it was just too late. Berkeley was already dead in the back room, and as Corvo was running up the stairs, I snatched him and I covered his eyes, took him to the front door and yelled, "Run!" When I got back to the stairs, your mother had taken down two of the guild, but one was pushing a dagger in her. She screamed, I cried out, and Artie made a noise. It wasn't a baby crying at all, but more of a roar. When Jenny turned to grab you, your touch took the life out of her and the guild member that was stabbing her. His life just poured out of him, too. I could see it float away. I tried to revive her, but I couldn't. She was just a shell. I had never witnessed anything that awful or powerful. So I took Artie to Boulder's Gate, and I left him at an orphanage that I trusted. I told them he was born to Genevieve Rest, but she died, and her husband was killed by the guild, and asked if they would please take care of him and let him know he was loved. Thorne had started to whisper about the break-in of the guild and how a nobleman had wandered in to see what had happened and had had his guard kill the standing guild murderers. This story held, and after the years was forgotten. I had the memory stored in this orb. Reliving this is very difficult.
Artie killed Mum?
We are not brothers.
No! You are brothers. And a baby can't control their powers. Even Thorne had to learn to control his wild magic.
I'm powerful?
With a prophecy worth killing for.
It would have filled your mum's heart to know you found each other. And running the Rest Tavern. And look, boys, plenty of platinum to pay off the guild.
At that moment, the three look up towards the stairs where they hear a ruckus. They slowly get up and head towards the stairs.
Wild magic or Arya and Elizabeth arguing?
Elizabeth.
Upstairs in the tavern, Ransford, Watt, and Berg of the Thieves Guild have taken cover by the corner booth, watching the sorcerer gnome and the wizard in combat. Arya, hands still bound, has made her way to the back room door, trying to decide whether to stop her dear friends from killing each other or to go find Corvo and warn him that the guild is early. Thorne casts a chaos bolt at Elizabeth. And that is 10 psychic damage to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is wobbly.
Well done, Thorne. You really controlled that spell.
Will you stop being proud of me? I am so mad at you.
Thorne is so outraged that his magenta eyes have turned ruby red. Elizabeth prepares herself for what is about to happen. A flume of steam radiates from Thorne and encompasses Elizabeth. And when it dissipates, she is covered in green scales.
Thorne, you control your magic in battle. That is incredible. I am so proud of
If
you.
you say proud one more time, I can't believe you lied this whole time.
That is true, Thorne, but not to you. To them.
Elizabeth points her green-scaled hands to Ransford, Watt, and Berg.
Thorne, they're charmed. Watch. Boys, do a little dance for Thorne.
They do. At this moment, the dwarf, rogue, and bard have made their way into the main tavern. They find Arya in the doorway, hands tied. Thorne floating in the air, aiming at Elizabeth. Elizabeth is scaled like a green dragon. 3 Thieves Guild members are dancing a jig. Very poorly. And Tharden is tied to a chair and gagged. Artie and Corvo are not sure if they should grab weapons, or if this is just another strange dream. Orin brushes past them with velocity over to his husband, who seems to be a prisoner.
Corvo, untie me.
He does.
You have some explaining to do.
Whose side are we on, Thorne or Elizabeth?
Orin pulls the gag out of Tharden's mouth and gets a knife out to undo the rope.
No need. I've been free for a long time. I've just been enjoying Thorne attacking the wizard.
Why? How? I'm glad to see you, but...
Why am I here? I was on my way here to make sure you were back for our daughter's wedding.
Hildy made you come get me.
Yes, the will is strong in our daughter. Then these 3 fools jump me and try to tie me up. They completely spill about their plan to use me as a catalyst to make sure you guys pay the debt. I thought, hey, they have a nice carriage. Sure, play along and see how I can assist when I get here.
My husband is so smart. So what happened here?
Corvo, would you be so kind as to tie up these dancing fools?
Done.
These boys were going to burn the tavern down, but the wizard reminded them that she had been working as a spy this whole time for them, and she had it handled. I was about to smite that...
Language, Tharden.
I cast charm on them and asked Tharden to trust me.
It took all of my resolve.
Then Thorne was so upset to be betrayed by Elizabeth, he commenced a battle.
You're lucky he didn't melt you, or worse, though the scales are very unappealing.
No, I can fix that.
With a swish of her hands, she is descaled.
I apologize that I upset you. It was the only way.
I knew. I was just acting.
He was not. The bard had brought the platinum up when they came upstairs. He has now put it in a sack and wrote a note saying, paid in full, and pinned both to Ransford's armor.
Take this back to the Thieves Guild. Corvo has upheld his end of the deal, and now stay away from him and the tavern.
Before Artie can boast that he is a powerful tiefling, Corvo walks the guild boys to the door, reinforcing that he is done with them. Now, alone in the tavern, Thorne explains how he, by happenstance, came to be a hostage and that Orin will have to leave soon for the wedding. The bard goes behind the bar to pour pints for the table, but it feels a little awkward.
Before Thorne and Orin head out, I would like to say a few words. This day has been benumbing, chilling, and altering. I walked into this tavern 10 weeks ago on a bad mission, a loner, content to be satisfied with my own bleak existence. Now, I've learned that I have a family. Blood or not, still family. I've grown to trust and even care for others. I'm a better man for knowing you all.
Oh, Corvo, we have all witnessed you and Artie finding your connection as brothers. There is no mistaking it.
Both Artie and Corvo look at each other, knowing the truth.
If I may continue, 10 weeks ago, I came here as a young healer on a mission to spread the word of Meteor. It was such an isolated task, but you offered me a chance to work as a team. I learned that people can have different beliefs and that is okay. I learned that I can be more than a healer. I can be a friend. I thank you all for that.
You know, I just wandered in here after a fight with some bears and had been traveling the coast trying to keep to myself because my wild magic can panic folks. And I didn't want to hurt anyone, but Artie, singing his songs, convinced me to stay. I have met a dragon and a unicorn and you all.
And look at you now, an adept fighter with his eyes closed.
And you learned how to control your wild magic.
I know. The best part is that I don't have to pretend to be anybody. I can just be me, with no judgment. Thank you.
I came here because of the Thieves Guild. Bored and was...
Cold, bitchy, and mean?
All very true. I think I have changed.
You have. You have learned to help others.
And Arya thawed the rogue's heart.
They giggle, and there is a definite blush on the rogue.
I came to visit the tavern of my dearest friends one last time, and I found myself in an extraordinary adventure with their sons. I got to train a whole new generation of adventurers.
Well, this is all fine and dandy, but I was happy before you all got here. I got the family bar back. I was singing my songs and going on adventures. Don't you dare say just one. Now, there has been some good. I got a pet dragon now, and I fought a hydra, but the truth is, the cult sacrificing a tiefling baby is the Thieves Guild, which is under the control of a dark organization still trying to finish the ritual. I am that tiefling. Orin says there is a powerful prophecy already written about me, and we are not brothers.
Settle down, Artie.
The wizard, sorcerer, and cleric all look to the dwarf to see if this is true. Orin nods yes.
I can't control these powers like Thorne. I don't know when the dark organization will find me.
No, Artie. We can help you learn control.
We can protect you.
I will not risk hurting anyone else I care about.
Artie stands up and looks to me for the dice roll. Millions of dice are rolled every day. Well, that may not be true. A lot of dice are rolled every day. It helps keep our existence, our essence, balanced. But the rule of the dice must be followed. But lands must be called. As a DM, I am simply a facilitator of this world. I walk over to Artie and I whisper in his ear.
Okay.
Artie looks at the wizard, the dwarf, the sorcerer, and the rogue. Takes a big breath in. Artie turns and leaves the stage. And that is where we leave you tonight. Tune in next season for the Long Rest. Until then, this is your Dungeon Master, Robb, and we are Nerd's Garage. Thanks for tuning in.
The Long Rest features the talents of Robb Mann as your Dungeon Master, David Curtis as Corvo the Rogue, Zach Hanner as Artie the Bard, John Markas as Orin the Dwarf, Linda Carlisle Markas as Aria the Cleric, Jeff Phillips as Thorne the Gnome, Suzanne Ralke Smith as Elizabeth the Wizard, Derek Smith as Tharden the Dwarf and the Thieves Guild member. Creative Director is Dylan Smith. Special thanks to D&D Beyond, Wizards of the Coast, Michael Vancor, Justin Smith, Jason Acock, Alice Morgan Sherwood, Nerds Garage interns, and all the Nerds Garage D&D players.